Welcome to this edition of the Head to Head Podcast. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 126 of the podcast. And in this edition of the podcast, I'm talking about the Dodgers finally winning the World Series. This team has made the postseason 8 straight years and have lost 2 World Series to the Astros and the Red Sox. But this year, the Dodgers finally came through and won the World Series, defeating the Tampa Bay Rays in 6 games. I mean, the Dodgers have become the most consistent team in baseball. During this run, they've won the division all 8 years and have won 90-plus games 7 times and over 100 games twice. Also, during this impressive run, they've had a Cy Young winner in Clayton Kershaw, Rookie of the Years in Cody Bellinger and Corey Seager, and 2 MVPs in Clayton Kershaw and Cody Bellinger. And oh, by the way, Dave Roberts won Manager of the Year in 2016. No other organizations have won that many awards with their players, coaches, and managers. They have been the class of the National League, and the only thing holding them back from being an all-time team has been winning the championship. And now that they have that, I think there's a chance that the Dodgers could go on a run. Now that they have a guy in Mookie Betts to be that primetime player, they also have Cody Bellinger. The two of them should become a dynamic duo. I think the thing that I like about the Dodgers more so than I like about the other big market teams is how they develop their young players. Clayton Kershaw comes out of nowhere and basically becomes the heir apparent to Sandy Koufax. Like no other team other than maybe the St. Louis Cardinals develops young talent like the LA Dodgers. Bellinger, I mean, he becomes an MVP out of nowhere. You have guys, even a guy like Justin Turner wasn't great with other teams, and then he comes to the Dodgers and becomes one of the better third basemen in the National League. Corey Seager, the World Series MVP, I mean, he was a star shortstop. The Dodgers are so good at developing talent. They're better than the Yankees at it. They're better than the Red Sox at it. No other big market team develops young talent like the LA Dodgers. All of those guys that won these awards are homegrown guys. Clayton Kershaw won an MVP and a Cy Young. He's homegrown. Cody Bellinger won Rookie of the Year and an MVP and a World Series in his first 4 seasons in the big leagues. He's homegrown. Corey Seager winning Rookie of the Year and now a World Series MVP. He's homegrown. The Dodgers are a big market team and they are able to spend way more than other teams. They can acquire a guy like Mookie Betts out of nowhere. They can acquire a guy like Zach Greinke out of nowhere. But the thing that impresses me the most about the Dodgers is their ability to develop their homegrown talent into superstar big leaguers. And yes, the money allows them to keep these guys for a long time, but the real special thing about the Dodgers is keep on developing these guys. Bellinger, Seager, Kershaw, again and again, homegrown guys. Kenley Jansen, a homegrown guy. I think them winning the World Series was inevitable. Again, they keep developing young talent. Walker Buehler would be the ace on any other pitching staff in the National League, but because they have Clayton Kershaw, he is a great number 2 to Kershaw, and for years to come, he will become their ace pitcher. I am such a fan of this guy. He is a big-time, big-game pitcher, and he was this postseason. Again, a guy like Corey Seager, Cody Bellinger showed up this postseason. Mookie Betts was just out there making defensive plays where he looks like the guy worthy of that 12-year deal. That's why this isn't the end of a run. This feels like the beginning of a run. Even though they've made the postseason 8 straight years, I think this is their opportunity to become a dynastic type team. The monkey is off their back. They won their World Series crown, and now next year I would pick them to repeat because I think they're going to do whatever it takes to become that dynastic team. And this is a huge victory for Dodgers manager Dave Roberts. We all know he's one of the better managers in baseball, but I think if he had lost his 3rd World Series, then I think he would have started to be on the hot seat. I don't think he could have stayed with the Dodgers. Now that he's won that World Series, I think he's going to have some lee room to again be there for the long run. I think this win is going to keep Dave Roberts there for years to come, and I think he's going to have better success in the postseason moving forward. Again, 7 straight appearances without winning a World Series is pretty tough, but the the 8th time. He got the job done, and now I think he'll be on that list of the best Dodger managers of all time. Because I do think that there were people that thought that this group would never win the big games. I think they all thought that this group was a great regular season team with a closer like Kenley Jansen and an ace pitcher like Clayton Kershaw, but that they would never get over the hump of winning the World Series. Well, now that they've gotten over it, I think Dave Roberts will be the manager of the Dodgers for at least the next 10 years or so. And it was also a huge victory for the Dodgers president of baseball operations, Andrew Friedman. He built a very good team full of stars, but also this team has very good role players like Max Muncy, who became a home run monster out of nowhere, Will Smith, who had big-time postseason home runs, and Kiki Hernandez, who comes up clutch almost seemingly every time, and he also Friedman beat his former team, the Tampa Bay Rays. I think this would have been a tough loss for Andrew Friedman if he had lost to the team he left to join the Dodgers. I think this was a victory that Dave Roberts needed, but also Andrew Friedman needed this victory to secure his place as one of the best executives in baseball. Again, he's so good at developing young talent. He went to a World Series with the Rays. Now he's won the World Series with the Dodgers. He's been to the World Series 4 times, and he's won it once. I think this secures his spot as one of the best executives in all of baseball, and he will be there with the Dodgers again for years to come. It secures his job along with Dave Roberts. And then you start to get into the Clayton Kershaw aspect of this World Series victory. Clayton Kershaw has been known to have his postseason struggles. He's not the same player in the postseason like great players like in football, like Peyton Manning. He's a great regular season quarterback. When it comes to the big moments, he doesn't always come up big. Clayton Kershaw proved he can come up big. He won 2 World Series games, and now he has a World Series title. For me, I always thought Clayton Kershaw was one of the best pitchers of all time. I don't think this really changes my opinion of him. I think a lot of people's opinion of him has changed, though. And again, this can secure his legacy as an all-time great. But for me, he was already an all-time great. But the thing that he's not is one of the best postseason pitchers ever. He's not Curt Schilling. He's not Madison Bumgarner. He's not Andy Pettitte. But he is Clayton Kershaw, and he is a very good pitcher who I would want on my team. And now it's been proven that you can have a World Series team with Clayton Kershaw as your best pitcher. I think this postseason proves that. Again, it hasn't changed that narrative. I don't think all of a sudden he's a great postseason pitcher like John Smoltz, but he is still an ace-level pitcher who I would want on my team, and we can win a World Series with him. For me, it's like when A-Rod won the World Series with the Yankees. I mean, A-Rod was able to win a ring. He was able to be a big part of it, but it didn't change all of the failures that he had in the postseason. I don't think A-Rod is one of the better postseason players, and I certainly now don't think of Clayton Kershaw as one of the better postseason pitchers. My opinion on him has not changed. He's a definitive Hall of Fame player who's not quite a Hall of Fame player when it comes to the postseason. That's the fact. This was a very good postseason for Clayton Kershaw, but he still hasn't had a great postseason yet. And like I said, while I don't think this is the end of the Dodgers run, I do think there are some things that they have to do if they want this to become like a dynasty team. First off, they need to move on from Kenley Jansen. They have to get a new closer. Add some more starters as well. Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler are not enough. Those are 2 ace pitchers, but I think the back end of their rotation has to be a lot better. You have guys like Alex Wood. I think they need to go out and spend some money on some relief pitching and some starting pitching because your offense is secure for the next decade. You have Corey Seager. You have Cody Bellinger. You have Mookie Betts. You're secure there for a long time. I guess the question is, what are they going to do with Justin Turner? How is his relationship with the organization after he got COVID? I don't know all of that. I think there's a chance that Justin Turner comes back, but I also think there's a chance that they go out and get another third baseman. I don't really worry about them from a positional standpoint, though. Again, they have guys like Max Muncy and Kiki Hernandez and Will Smith who have seen to step up this postseason. So for years to come, the Dodgers will have a great offense. It's their pitching staff that I worry about a bit. I mean, I think Walker Buehler is going to take that next step and become their ace. Clayton Kershaw is aging. It's a pretty good move for them to try to go out and add some pitching. I think Masahiro Tanaka might be a free agent. Maybe that's a guy they try to steal away from the Yankees. Again, improve that back end of the rotation. That should be the priority for the Dodgers and move on from Kenley Jansen. Again, he's one of the best closers in franchise history, but he's way past his prime. time. And again, they weren't even using him to close out some of the biggest games of the World Series. It's time for them to move on from him and improve their rotation. And if they do those two things, this run of theirs will last a very long time. Another thing to keep an eye on is their domination of this division might not last that much longer. Yes, they've won this division 8 straight years, but the San Diego Padres are coming. They have Manny Machado. They have Fernando Tatis Jr. The Padres are a team on the rise. It won't be as easy for the Dodgers to keep winning this division. While I think next year they'll still win this division, the Padres are a team on the rise, and the Dodgers need to worry about them. They don't need to worry about the Giants or the Diamondbacks, but they do need to worry about the San Diego Padres. And that's something they haven't had to worry about since the San Francisco Giants stopped competing for titles. The Dodgers need to worry about the Padres. And again, it won't be as easy for them to dominate the NL West like they have in years past, because I think, again, the Padres are here to stay. So the Dodgers, it won't be that easy for them to continue to dominate this division. So again, offensively, they're all set, but if they want to continue to win the NL West, I think they need to improve this pitching staff. You have Kershaw, you have Buehler, but add more to that rotation. And again, you have to move on from Kenley Jansen. You couldn't rely on him in the big moments in the postseason. Get an ace reliever. That's what the Dodgers need. They don't need a lot, but they need a little to keep this run going and continue to make the postseason for years to come. Because I think what the Dodgers are trying to avoid is being those Braves from the 90s, that team that made that postseason. What? They won their division like 13 years in a row and won one World Series title. I think this Dodgers team has an excellent chance to not be that team. I think there is a chance they could win 2 or 3 more titles after this. Because look at that. They have Cody Bellinger in his prime. They just signed Mookie Betts for the next 12 years. He's going to be an MVP candidate for at least the next 6 or 7 years. They have Corey Seager, who really brought it in the World Series. They have Walker Buehler, a young ace pitcher. This team is not going away. You don't want to waste this opportunity and only win one World Series title. The Dodgers have an excellent chance of not being the Braves from the 90s. And again, you don't want to be the Braves from the 90s, because as excellent as that run is, they are again laughed at time and time again for only winning one title after having so much talent like Chipper Jones, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, Andrew Jones. They had all that young talent like the Dodgers do, and they only won one title. The Dodgers have to avoid being the Braves of the 90s. They need to be more like the Yankees of the 90s, that team that just kept on winning. I think they have more in common with that Yankees team than they do that Braves team. Even though they've already lost 2 World Series to the Red Sox and the Astros, I think there's a chance that this Dodgers team could win more World Series than they've lost. I think that's a distinct possibility. Look at that young talent. And how can you not tell me that's a distinct possibility of them winning more World Series than they've already lost? This is the Dodgers' first World Series win in 32 years, and that's a long time for the Dodgers not to win. Their last great moment was that Kirk Gibson home run off of Dennis Eckersley, and how many times I've seen that moment on TV, and it's been so long since you've had a moment like that. Now the Dodgers have that World Series title, and again, we can stop watching that moment over and over again, and we can appreciate this Dodgers team. That's what's going to help them get over this run, because I think that's what's kind of been holding the Dodgers back. We've only had that one moment of victory in the past 32 years. They've gotten over that hump, and I think that's a huge victory for the Dodgers to win that World Series, because again, every time the Dodgers went to the World Series against the Red Sox and the Astros, it was that moment that was in the shadows. It was that moment kind of holding the Dodgers back. Like, look, this was the last time you were great. That was the last time you were the Dodgers. Kirk Gibson hits that home run off of Dennis Eckersley. That was your last moment of greatness. So I think this is a huge victory for the Dodgers to finally get that World Series title over the Rays. And this is a team that's had star players since then. I mean, they've had Matt Kemp, they've had Jonathan Broxton, they've had really good players in my time, but again, they haven't been on that big stage. They've been a really good, consistent organization that wins a lot of games and usually ends up winning their division, but they haven't won that World Series crown. They've had really good managers like Joe Torre. Even Don Mattingly has proven himself to be a really good manager, especially with the Marlins. I mean, this team has had chances to win the big one, but always in their shadow has been that 1988 moment where Kirk Gibson, injured with a limp, hits a World Series saving home run off of the best closer of his time in Dennis Eckersley. Finally, the Dodgers can move past that moment. It's an all-time great moment, but now they have another moment. They won the World Series in 2020. They are a modern great baseball team again. Also, during this decade, the Giants have won 3 World Series champions, while the Dodgers have been the more consistent team in the regular season. That must have really hurt the Dodgers also, to watch Buster Posey, Madison Bumgarner, and Pablo Sandoval win 3 titles, while you're basically the better team, but the Giants were the better postseason team. The Dodgers have been always known as an excellent regular season team that most people thought would never end up winning the World Series, that you could never win with Clayton Kershaw, you could never win with Kenley Jansen, Dave Roberts isn't the right manager to win the World Series. Now all of those questions have been answered and you won the World Series. The Giants seem irrelevant now and the Dodgers are the team on top. I just think the Dodgers are a world-class organization and it's very good for baseball when the Dodgers are a dominant team. They've won 7 World Series titles, and again, all the talent that's come out of that organization, going all the way back to Jackie Robinson. Oral Hershiser comes to mind. He was a big-time game pitcher. The Kirk Gibson moment. You've had really great talents like Matt Kemp, even modern players like Andre Ethier. I have liked everything that I've seen from the Dodgers. The only thing that they haven't done in my lifetime was win the big game, win the World Series. Now they have that moment again, and I think they can go back to being a World Series caliber franchise. And I keep saying this, but no team develops young talent like the LA Dodgers. Mike Piazza came from the Dodgers. He's one of the best hitting catchers ever. Another catcher that I think is really underrated in this era has been Russell Martin. Guess where he came from? The LA Dodgers. The Dodgers develop every single type of position player and every single type of pitcher in baseball. They are the best team at developing young talent. Again, Cody Bellinger, Rookie of the Year and MVP in his first 3 years. Now he has a World Series title in his 4th year. He's achieved everything you can in the game of baseball, basically in his first 4 seasons. Corey Seager, Rookie of the Year, now World Series MVP. He's one of the better hitting shortstops in all of baseball. They also have a great history with starting pitching. Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax, Oral Hershiser, Clayton Kershaw, Fernando Valenzuela, Pedro Martinez came from the LA Dodgers. I just think they are a world-class organization, and I don't quite understand people that don't like the Dodgers. I think they are the best of both worlds. They are a high-class organization with tons of money. They are big market. They can spend no matter how much they want to. But what they do better than the other big markets, again, better than the Yankees, better than the Red Sox, only the Cardinals compete on this level for me, is that they develop young talent. And out of nowhere, that young talent becomes the star of their team. There's not a lot of guys who just came to the Dodgers and became superstars. Most of them were developed by the Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers went outside and finally brought in Mookie Betts and it got them a World Series title, but you can't ignore the talent they've developed. Bellinger, Seager, Kershaw, Jansen, the list goes on and on. Again, Justin Turner was a good player, but then he came to the Dodgers and became an all-star caliber player. Nobody develops talent like the LA Dodgers. They have been the most consistent team of this past decade. They've gone to the postseason 8 times. They've been to 3 World Series, and they finally won the World Series, and I'm a fan of that. I think they are a very good team. I think it's good for baseball to have a team like the Dodgers because more big market teams should be like the Dodgers, and even a team like the Angels. They spend a lot of money, but they don't develop talent. They don't develop pitching like the Dodgers. The Yankees should be more like the Dodgers. My Red Sox should be more like the Dodgers. I think more big market teams should be like the LA Dodgers because it's not about winning that one title. The Dodgers now have a chance to win 3 or 4 because they're a world-class organization who spends a lot of money but also develops a crazy amount of young talent. And again, during this run, they've had 2 MVPs, 2 Rookie of the Years, Cy Youngs from Clayton Kershaw, and now they've won the World Series. And I don't think this is going to be their last. I think there's going to be at least 2 or 3 more World Series titles titles coming from the Dodgers. I mean, just the fact that they're going to have Mookie Betts for the next 12 years alone, this guy is insanely good. The Red Sox never should have traded him. He's a 5-tool player. He was making insane plays on the field and also hitting home runs in the postseason, something he hasn't been great at, but now he is. And again, this is going to be the peak of the Dodgers run, not the end of it. Expect the Dodgers to compete for World Series for years to come. It's good for baseball when the Dodgers are good. Because for me, they're up there with the Cardinals as the two best teams in National League franchise history. I just think the Dodgers and Cardinals are consistent franchises, and more of those big market teams should try to be like those two teams. Be more like the Dodgers, because for them, they're winning right now, and I don't think their winning is coming to an end. Expect the Dodgers to win more titles. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Head to Head Podcast. I'm Cam McKinney. There'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and iTunes, so please rate, review, and subscribe.